Hearty welcome to all my dear students. In this good time, I would like to teach you from chapter Social Institution, Continuity and Change. This is session 2 of learning this chapter. In the previous session, we went through some important points. I request all my dear students to take the book and take the page number 45. Name of the chapter is Social Institutions, Continuity and Change. Let us start. The title given in the page number 45 is Colonialism and Caste. I request all my dear students to note down that the things I am going to tell you now is the answer for the question in the page number 60. I am reading the question. What changes did colonialism bring about in the caste system? Question number 3. So, this is the answer for this question. Page number 60, question number 3. Colonialism and caste. What is the effect of colonialism on caste? And we all know that we all are very much sure about the caste system according to the recent history. What or in which way the system is going can be easily understood by means of the recent history. The recent history about caste can give us clear evidences about the things going on in our society or around us, but relatively less knowledge about the caste in the past. We are not having, in the last session I already told you that we are not well aware of or we don't have much knowledge about the things that happened in the past, especially about caste. But in this present time, we clearly know, we vividly know about caste because the recent history tells us about the caste. But according to the past knowledge, which may not be clear, which may not be correct, we cannot come to a proper conclusion about caste. And next point is that the British ruled India for 150 years, around roughly means what? Around 150 years the British ruled India, started from 1800 to 1947. This is called colonial period. The period between 1800 and 1947, this is called colonial period. And there is another period called post-independence period, means 1947 up to the present. This is called post-independence period. Caste as a social institution has been shaped by or during colonialism or underwent rapid changes in the independent India. This paragraph clearly tells us some important things. First one, we are well aware of the caste system on the basis of recent history because we are made sure according to or on the basis of the recent history, but we don't know about the caste in the past because we don't have much clear evidences clear history which happened in the past. But about the present, we are very much aware. That is the first point. Second point, the British ruled us for 150 years, and this is called colonial period. And after that, the period started post-independence period up to the present time, and caste underwent some radical changes during colonialism. The second paragraph under this title concentrates or focuses on the topic arguments made by scholars. The first paragraph concentrates on the topic of colonialism and caste. The second paragraph under this title, which title? Colonialism and caste, concentrates or focuses on the main topic, that is arguments made by scholars. Some of the Indian scholars, they argued that all major social institutions, especially caste, underwent changes during colonialism, and so that caste is more a product of colonialism than ancient past. The scholars argue that caste is more a product of colonialism. Caste is the product of colonialism. The present caste is the product of colonialism more than that of the ancient past. And they are telling us that the changes occurred during colonialism were not intended or deliberate. The changes brought by the British are not deliberate, are not conscious. The British rulers tried to understand the complexities of caste so that they could rule India efficiently. When they were ruling India, caste system created problems in the society. British government was ruling India so that they wanted to understand the caste system in India for ruling India in an efficient way. Surveys were conducted by the British on the customs and manners of various tribes and castes all over the country, and the British officers were non-professional ethnologists. Ethnologists means studying relationship between people, and took great interest in following survey and studies. The British officers conducted survey on the caste system in India, on the customs, on the manner of various tribes. They wanted to study the lifestyle of tribes, the system in India with regard to caste and tribe, so that they could rule India in an effective way. That's why they conducted survey. They wanted to study the life of people during that time. They wanted to study from the survey made by the British officers how the caste system was moving or going on at that time, so that they can take some decisions for ruling India in an efficient way. This is all about the second paragraph under the title Colonialism and Caste. This paragraph concentrates on some important point. Caste is the product of colonialism. Caste is not so the product of ancient past. Next point. There are some changes happened during colonialism. It is not deliberate or intended. There are some complexities with regard to caste system at that time. So the British government conducted surveys for making some solutions for the complexities. Now the third paragraph under the title Colonialism and Caste concentrates on the topic census and caste. What is the connection between census and caste? Census was the means of collecting information on caste. The British government, they conducted census for collecting informations on caste. They wanted to get some informations on caste, so they conducted census, and it was conducted first in 1860. The first census was conducted during colonialism in 1860, and the decennial type of census was conducted in 1881 onwards, and the 1901 census was directed by Herbert Risley, a British officer, in a particular region regarding position of each caste in the social ladder. The census conducted or directed by Herbert Risley was very important because the purpose behind conducting the census in 1901 by Herbert Risley was to get informations regarding positions of each caste in social ladder. I told you last class, I told you that society was like a ladder system was there, a hierarchy was there. In the hierarchy, upper caste was there, middle caste was there, lower caste was there, and they submitted what we can say regarding position of each caste in the social ladder. The representatives of each caste addressed petitions to the Census Commission claiming higher social position. We have to understand one important thing. Census was conducted by or directed by Herbert Risley. Purpose was to find out or get the information about the position of each caste in the social ladder. After conducting this census, there are some people representing their caste. They submitted some petitions to the census commissioner for higher social position. Why? The people representing each caste submitted petition. They wanted to have higher position in the social ladder, and they submitted historical and scriptural evidences for achieving it. With the petition, with the complaint, they submitted evidences also for achieving their needs. What was their need? For higher position. The British started to count caste and officially record position. These activities changed the institution. After conducting the census, the British government confirmed the positions of each caste in the social ladder. This changed the institution of caste. Before this kind of intervention, caste identities had been more flexible and fluid and less rigid. Before the intervention made by the British, caste system was not so rigid. In the previous class, I told you that during Vedic period, caste system was not so rigid because during that time it was not determined by birth. During the British colonialism, they changed the institution. They made it more rigid and strict. What rigidity they made? They confirmed the position of each caste. So, social mobility was prevented. Upper caste, they got the highest position, middle caste in the middle position, and the lower caste, they were satisfied with, they were not satisfied, even though they were not satisfied, they had to be placed in the lowest position. In this way, the British government made the caste system rigid. Social mobility was not allowed. The people who belong to lower caste, they cannot become a higher caste. Now we can move to the page number 46. Till now the answer is not complete. Still, some of the points are left. I request all of you to note down what I am telling. Now you can take the page number 46, paragraph 1. The main point is that the interventions of the British government and changes. In the previous paragraph also, we have studied the census and caste. There is also intervention made by government, British government. In this paragraph 1 of page number 46, there is also intervention made by the British government. And we all know that the interventions made by the British government made impact on the institution. Which institution? Caste. The upper caste was given caste-based legal rights as the land revenue settlement and the other arrangements were done. The upper caste were given privileges. What were the privileges given by the British government? They got, or they were given, caste-based legal rights. They were given legal rights like land revenue settlement. They could be settled with, there could be settlement with regard to revenue and land, and other arrangements were done. And these castes are now owners of the land, not meant to be feudal caste with claims on the produce of the land. I already told you that the upper caste, they were given legal rights for possessing land. This is called land revenue settlement. They are the owners of the land. As at that time feudal system was there. What do you mean by feudal system? Feudal system means the upper caste, they have land. They are the owners of the land and they are giving the land to the lower caste people. So the lower caste people were working on the land and the lower caste people has to give the, what we can say, products to the upper caste. This is all about the feudal system. During that time feudal system was there and it was a discrimination, a partiality to the upper caste, and the people who belong to lower caste were discriminated because they had to give the productions to the upper caste. And large scale irrigation schemes were implemented to gather people to be settled. The British government, they implemented irrigation water facility, so the people, they would get, what we can say, settled in a proper place. Towards the end of the colonial period, the administration took an interest in the welfare of the depressed class. Towards the end of the, what we can say, colonial period, the administration, the British government, they took an interest on the depressed class. The Government of India Act of 1935. This is very important. The Government of India Act of 1935 was passed as part of this, which gave legal rights to the schedules, especially special treatment by the state. This act in 1935 gave some relief to the schedules, it means lower caste people, for special treatment by the state. The state will give much attention on them. So the terms scheduled caste and scheduled tribe emerged. After that, the terms, the new words. Before that, we were calling them untouchables. After that, the people who belong to lower caste, they were called scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. These castes at the bottom of the hierarchy faced discrimination. This is all about the answer to the question. I already read the question. What changes did colonialism bring about in the caste system? I request all my dear students to write down all these points. Write in your own language so that in the exam you may not face problems. When we summarize this one, we can understand that there were interference made by British government on the caste. Upper caste was privileged because they were given caste-based legal rights, because there was land revenue settlement and other arrangements. The upper caste, they are now the owners of the land. Not feudal system exists now as it was in the past. And the British government arranged irrigation facilities for settlement of the people, and at the end of the period of colonial rule, they took interest on the depressed class. The Government of India Act of 1935 gave some relief to the schedules because their names changed, even though discrimination continued. This is all about the paragraph 1 in the page number 46. Now the paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 concentrates on the topic of what we can say the institution of caste underwent fundamental changes during colonialism. Capitalism and modernity brought manifold changes not only in India but all over the world. Here also we can concentrate on the topic of caste and colonialism. Caste was very much affected by colonialism because colonialism brought capitalism and modernity which affected the caste not only in India, all over the world. Now you have to look at the main heading, caste in the present. This is also another important topic. In the last session we were going through the caste in the past. Now we can go through the caste in the present. This is the last paragraph in the page number 46. We can move to the paragraph 3rd or first paragraph under the title Caste in the Present. I request all of you to look at the heading caste in the present, and below that one paragraph is there, we can go through that. Colonial influence continued even after India's independence. Influence of colonialism continued even after independence, because there was a caste consideration which played an inevitable role in mass mobilization of national movement. There are some movements which emerged against the caste consideration, because the movements were initiated by the leaders, reformers, they belonged to the lower caste. After colonialism, when India was given freedom, the reformers in India, they started to protest against the caste consideration, because the upper caste was given all the privileges and the lower caste people were discriminated. Against this social evil, the reformers lived during that time, they protested. And the depressed caste and untouchable caste were organized before the nationalist movement, which took place in the second half of the 19th century. The depressed class, it means the lower caste people, and the untouchable caste, both were organized on or in second half of 19th century. The protests were initiated by upper caste progressive reformers as well as members of the lower caste. The protest was led by or started by some of the reformers even from upper caste. They were given some, what we can say, ideas, important ideas of protecting the lower caste. That's why even the reformers belonged to upper caste, they also started to protest, as well as the members of the lower caste, such as there are some names of reformers. This paragraph concentrates on the topic, what we can say, the caste system and reformers. There was a national movement. The reformers are also taking part in that movement. They wanted to protest against the caste consideration, the privileges given to upper caste. Even the reformers from upper caste also took part in this. And their names are Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, Baba Saheb Ambedkar. They belong to Western India. There are other people like Ayankali, Sri Narayana Guru, Ayodhidas, and Periyar. They belong to southern or southern India. And other people like Mahatma Gandhi, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, they organized protest against untouchability from 1920 onwards. This is what we can say, a trustworthy thing, a praiseworthy thing. We have to appreciate Mahatma Gandhi and Baba Saheb Ambedkar, because they started their protest against untouchability even from 1920 onwards. During that time, British colonialism was there in India. And anti-touchability was the significant agenda of the Congress during that time. Congress party, they took the agenda that anti-touchability, it means what, against touchability they wanted to protest. Now we can move to page number 47, first paragraph. The main title is Efforts by the Indian State for Abolishing Caste. Even during or after independence. Even after independence, this discrimination against lower caste continued. That is why, even though India was given freedom, India was not free from social evils like caste system. So even after independence, discriminations continued. So the Indian state, they wanted to abolish caste. This paragraph tells us that. The efforts made by the post-independent state were contradictory. There are some contradictions in the effort made by the Indian state for abolishing caste. First one, Indian state worked to abolish caste distinction clearly written on the constitution. This is very important thing. Indian state wanted to abolish touchability or caste distinction and even written on the constitution. But a sad thing is that on the other hand, they were not able or unwilling to bring forth proper radical reforms. That's why I told you the efforts made by the state was contradictory. Even though they wanted to abolish caste distinction, even though they wrote it on the constitution, there were no powerful reforms for abolishing caste distinction. And they could not weaken the economic basis for caste inequality. What do you mean by economic basis for caste inequality? The upper caste people, they were rich. The lower caste people, they were poor. That's why, according to economy, the privilege was given to the upper caste. This should be uprooted. This should be destroyed. This consideration on the basis of money, economy, for achieving upper position and the lower position should be uprooted. This is what the government should have done, but they did not do this. The upper caste still they continued on the basis of economy. So the state or the efforts done by state were contradictory. The state emphasized the caste blind manner intended to undermine caste based privileges and priorities and the eventual abolition of the institution. After the contradictory efforts made by the state, still the caste based consideration continued. After that, the government, the Indian state, tried to abolish caste system by means of caste blind manner. What do you mean by caste blind manner? I will give you some example. Appointments to government job were not on the basis of caste. This is called caste blind manner to weaken caste based privileges. If you want to apply for the government job, if you belong to upper caste, there was possibility of getting the job. The government, the state wanted to stop it. The government did not want the people who belong to upper caste should be appointed in the government job only because they belong to upper caste. The people who belonged to lower caste also should be considered. That's why the government introduced caste blind manner like appointments to the government job irrespective of the basis of caste system. And so partiality was not given to the upper caste. The exception was there was reservation for what we can say scheduled tribe and scheduled caste. This is a blessing for the lower caste people because reservation happened took place for the scheduled tribe and scheduled caste. And beyond this, the state could not do sufficient services for undermining caste inequality in economy and educational terms. The government introduced caste blind manner. So the what we can say upper caste, if they try to get a job, their privilege, their economy, their money will not be given first priority. First priority will be given to the hard work so that even the people from lower caste also can get job. Now the last paragraph in the page number 47, this is the last paragraph for this session also. Efforts yet continues. In the previous paragraph we have studied that there were efforts made by Indian state for abolishing caste, but something they did. It means what caste blind manner they introduced, even though the caste discrimination was not completely uprooted from the soil of India. The first point in the page number, what we can say, last paragraph in the page number 47 is caste was affected by the development activity of the state and private industries. Private industries came and there were some developmental policies also introduced by the what we can say a state which affected the caste system. How? Economic change happened and there were no caste rules in private industries. This is a blessing for the people who belong to lower caste. Because if you wanted to apply job in industry, caste was not the priority. If you belong to upper caste, even though you may belong to lower caste, that was not the consideration for getting the job. There were no caste rules for getting the occupation in industries. Urbanization caused collective living where both upper caste and the lower caste were mixed. Industrialization came, urbanization came, so the people even from village they started to move to the places where industries are there. So there were people coming from both upper caste family and lower caste family, they were mixed. They were living in a particular area where both upper caste is there, lower caste is there. So caste based unity was destroyed because of the collection of people who belonged to both upper caste and lower caste. And modern educated Indians were attracted to the liberal ideas of individualism and meritocracy. These two ideas are very important. The people who were educated, they were attracted by the ideas, the modern ideas of liberalism, which are the individualism. What do you mean by individualism? Each individual is important. Even though he belongs to lower caste, even though he belongs to upper caste, even though he belongs to middle caste, each individual is equal. Nobody is what we can say, nobody cannot be discriminated. Even though he belongs to lower caste, he is an individual. Individualism was given importance. This was one of the Western ideas. And meritocracy. What do you mean by meritocracy? Meritocracy means what? The society government governed by people on the basis of merit. If you are qualified, even though you belong to lower caste, if you are having some merit, some quality, your quality will be considered first than your background. This is meritocracy. It was a blow on caste. Caste system was affected in such a way where ideas of liberalism, ideas of individualism, ideas of meritocracy was there. And but caste and kinship based job recruitments came back. What do you mean by kinship based? It means you are going for applying a job, the industry, in industry your people, it means what, you maybe belong to upper caste, the industry was running by your relatives, so you will get priority. This is called kinship based job recruitment came back in certain industries like text mills of Mumbai and jute mills of Kolkata, as departments or shop floors were dominated by specific caste discrimination yet continued. This is an important point. In Mumbai, there were text mills started, and in Kolkata, jute mills started. The people who are the owners of the industries, they wanted to give priority to the people belonging to their own caste. Whatever the state did, towards the end, the opposite happened. What was the opposite? The caste consideration came back. This is all about the session 2 of learning the chapter. I request all of you to write the answer for the question. What changes did colonialism bring about in the caste system? Read the chapter well, write in your own words. God bless you. Thank you.